All right, Alexander, let's talk about what's going on in the U.S. with the Trump legal team and election news, because the election is still going on. And we have one case, one decision really stands out, and that's the decision of Supreme Court Justice Alito. And we should be finding that out this morning, I believe. We're filming this here afternoon hour time, so in U.S. time. But by the time this video goes up in U.S. time, we should have some news as to what's going on with the Pennsylvania case and the Supreme Court. And it seems that Alito's move to move the date one day forward and to extend that window seems like the Supreme Court is that safe harbor window. It seems like the Supreme Court is inching towards wanting to hear this Pennsylvania case. Is that correct?
That is my own view. I have to say, I think if they weren't intending to do it, they would have pushed it back to as long as possible. I think the fact that Alito has taken this step, which I am sure, by the way, he has made after consulting with the other justices, including Roberts, I think is a sign that they are actually going to take on the case. I think they realise that if they didn't, it would look as if they were ducking a critically important issue for the United States, for the operation of the law. And I think that we will probably see a decision today to hear this matter sooner rather than later, before the Electoral College meets. I would also say that I'm also starting to get a sense, and we have to be very, very careful and not to raise hopes or expectations, but I'm starting to get a sense that perhaps the tide of legal opinion is starting to shift more in favor of the case that the Trump legal team is trying to put together, as more and more evidence from around the United States is starting to stack up. I mean, we see this extraordinary episode in Georgia. I know this case isn't going to be strictly about Georgia, but of course it has, federal application. So I would be very surprised if the Supreme Court justices were not aware of it also. So we've had this case in Georgia with, what happened in the arena with the ballot counting overnight, when all the observers had gone away, told that there'd been a water leak and that the counting had stopped. And in fact, as we now know, the counting actually continued in their absence. And we've discussed the business of the water leak in several of our programs. There's been an attempt to try and argue that, nothing untoward happened. And this has been completely and very, very thoroughly refuted by various articles I have read, including one in the Federalist, which has pointed out what conforms with my own memory of that event, which is that claims that the poll observers weren't asked to leave were not, in fact, what happened on the night in question. The poll observers were told to leave. They were told that counting had stopped, and attempts to deny that now are simply not true. And of course, the whole business of the water leak, the burst of the water pipe, undoubtedly, that was what was being said again on the night as the reason for closing everything down. And we now know for a fact that there wasn't a burst water pipe or anything like that. So the justices are aware of all of this, even if it isn't on, one of the cases that they will be looking at, one of the things they will be looking at. And I am sure this is starting to form their own views. And we have seen important lawyers, jurists, Alan Dershowitz being a case in point. He's come along. He says he thinks there is probable cause for, overturning this, for the Supreme Court to intervene and to make orders which might, in Dershowitz's view, send the question of picking electors to the various houses of representatives up and down the United States on the basis that the election outcomes, the voting outcomes in several states look unsafe. Now, I want to stress, none of this is a prediction. I don't know what is going to happen in the Supreme Court. All I am saying is the tide seems to be shifting more towards the kind of arguments the Trump legal team is saying. We've seen these actions, these steps by the Supreme Court to have this matter heard, or so it seems, and we've seen jurists like Alan Dershowitz saying that there is a case, and a serious case, and probable cause, and we've seen evidence accumulating, not just in Pennsylvania, but in other states of the Union as well.
Yeah, I agree with you. That article, by the way, on the Federalist by Molly Hemingway, I will put a link for that in the description box down below. It debunks the bogus fact checkers, and the fact checkers, they panicked when this video came out, and they panicked to debunk the video. And at the end of the day, all they did is confirm the authenticity and the claims of the video. And they told us a lot of lies, like saying, like what you said, they didn't tell the poll workers to leave, and there wasn't a burst pipe. No, it was a leaking urinal. And yes, they did tell the workers to leave because we have ABC TV footage, we have NBC, we have a tweet from ABC. Molly Hemingway documents the whole thing. Complete lies from the fact checkers, who are called, these Facebook fact checkers, called lead stories. And just on a side note, Alexander, Molly Hemingway closes the article by pointing out who owns Lead Stories. And Lead Stories is a fact-checking service funded by Facebook, Google, and BitDance, who is the owner of TikTok. You remember TikTok, right? Of course. So she just does a great job of demolishing Lead Stories, and they brought it upon themselves. These are fact checkers who are flat out liars. They are liars, and the fact that Facebook uses them means that Facebook is also complicit, and they're involved in the lies as well. She also points out, Alexander, in her article, and I'll do a real quick read. She says that the Georgia claims, like you said, the Georgia claims with the CCTV are not even the biggest of the claims of fraud. She says state Republican Chairman David Schaefer and President Trump filed a criminal complaint in state court on Friday regarding tens of thousands of votes they saw were fraudulent. Trump and Schaefer allege, for example, that votes came from 2,560 felons, 66,247 underage registrants, 2,423 people who were not on the state's voter rolls, 4,926 voters who had registered in another state after they registered in Georgia, making them ineligible. I mean, the list just goes on and on. Guys, I'll put a link for that down below. We also have another case breaking from Citizen Free Press. Texas files election lawsuit against Georgia, Michigan, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin at the Supreme Court. That is breaking news as well. Like you said, Alexander, it looks like the tide may be turning. We don't want to get people's hopes up. It's still a very difficult battle. It's a hard battle that Trump is fighting, the Trump legal team. But, we've been saying this for a while. It does look like momentum is shifting. And if the Supreme Court goes ahead and hears the Pennsylvania case, that just might be what breaks this thing wide open. If they don't hear it, then that would be a fatal blow.
I think so. Well, it would be a fatal blow in terms of determining the election outcome. As I said, it doesn't as I've said before, it doesn't prevent people still going ahead and carrying out investigations and putting the evidence of fraud together. And if the Republicans win control of Congress in 2022, which is possible, in fact, probable, then, as I said, they could start taking action. They could start formally investigating this thing and perhaps moving forward towards possible impeachment. I don't want to rush ahead with predictions, but that's a possibility. But in terms of deciding the outcome of the election, if the Supreme Court rejects this, either refuses to hear it or hears it and then rejects it, then the reality is you're looking at Joe Biden inaugurated as president of the United States on the 20th of January. What happens after is a different story, but we're talking now about the election itself. This is, it seems to me, make or break now.
Yeah. All right. We will leave it there, guys, and let's see what happens soon. And most likely you'll be getting this video as the news breaks with the Supreme Court. And we also have a lot of other cases with the voting machines as well. I mean, there's machines being forensically examined in Michigan. There's lots of rumors right now. They hasn't been confirmed yet, but Georgia Star News has reported that in Ware County in Georgia as well, they found machines up to some really funny business. I mean, there's a lot of stuff on the machine, the Dominion voting system, Smartmatic side of things as well, which isn't connected to the path that we're looking at with Pennsylvania, for example, which is looking more at the constitutionality of many of the voting procedures.
Absolutely. Can I just make a point about the machines, which is, I think, a point which immediately stood out to me as a British person, and which shows, for me, the problem with voting machines, which is, if we go back to the video of what happened in Georgia, you saw that all the observers went away, most of the people there went away, and yet counting continued. How was it possible to continue with the counting? It was possible to continue with the counting by feeding the ballots with just 4 people doing it through the voting machines. If there had not been voting machines there, if this had been a hand counted ballot, that could not have happened. So it shows how automating the whole process in that kind of way leads to the kind of abuses which that video in Georgia appears to show. I have to say this, I'm talking now as a British person, the faster the United States moves, as Donald Trump recently said, to a process of hand counting ballots, the better for the integrity of US elections. These voting machines are a disaster, and they should be done away with once and for all. And by the way, can I say that it's not so long ago that Democrats were talking about the problems with voting machines also. Some people have come up with some rather interesting videos of programs by CNN in the past, CNN, for example, in the past, highlighting the dangers of voting machines.
And let me just also say that these voting machines are used on a global level and on a global scale. So very much in the same way that these voting machines, I have no doubt about it, were used to weaponize elections outside of the United States, and in many cases perhaps lead to outcomes that were not the will of the people in other countries, or led to certain regime change, color revolution type of scenarios. Those same voting machines and that same voting software has been weaponized now in the US to instigate what I think, you just cannot use any other word other than a type of soft coup scenario against a sitting president during an election.
Well, yes. I mean, as I said, it seems to me that mail-in ballots, it's been universally acknowledged up to this election that they are, less than 100% safe. And you could say the same about voting machines also. So what you have in this election is two unsafe technologies, mail-in ballots and voting machines, brought to bear in what, let me stress again, despite what some people are saying, was a close election. It's entirely possible that the aggregate effect of these two, defective systems changed not just the electoral vote, electoral college vote, but the popular vote as well.
Yeah. I mean, Trump. I think Trump may have actually won the popular vote. There are many people that saying Trump got to 410.
Absolutely, I've heard a lot of people say that. I mean, it's important again to say that Donald Trump won more votes in this election than any other candidate in US electoral history, more votes than any sitting president has won in US electoral history. The only person who allegedly won more votes than him in the whole of US history is Joe Biden. Now, you can believe that or not, but given the immense tidal wave of support for Donald Trump, if you believe it, you have to believe that there was an even greater tidal wave for Joe Biden. I find that myself difficult. Let's find out. Let's investigate this properly and find out.
Audit the machine. the votes, audit everything. There should be nothing to fear if Biden did indeed get 80 million votes. There should be absolutely nothing to fear from an audit. It's done all the time in every level of life. Small business, big business, audits are part of everyday life. So why not audit? The most important thing in the United States democratic system, and the Democrats, pounded this into everyone's head during the Russiagate hoax, the U.S. democracy and the U.S. voting integrity. They pounded that into our head for 4 years. So why not, in this instance and in this case, do an audit for the sake and the sanctity of the United States democratic system? It's what the Democrats have been screaming about for 4 years when they thought that Russia bought $4,000 of Facebook ads to flip the election in Trump's favor. And on a side note, Alexander, last week's MAGA rally in Georgia, Right Side Broadcasting, had 250,000 people tune into that live stream. One live stream, 250,000 people. During Biden's Thanksgiving speech that was streamed, he had a little over what I believe was 1,000 people tune in.
So there you go. One person gets 1,000 people, and is supposed to have won 80 million votes. I mean, I have to say, I take completely all the point, that a lot of people don't like Donald Trump. But is this ultimately really plausible? Are you saying that so many more people dislike Donald Trump than like him, despite the fact that there are so many people who like him, that we end up with Sleepy Joe, who nobody seems to take much interest in? I have to say, I just don't find that very plausible myself. So why don't we do exactly what you said, carry out a proper audit so that we can be sure?
Yeah, absolutely. I think 1,000 or 5,000. I don't know. It's a really low number. Anyway, one of the viewers will let us know in the comment section down below. I mean, it's interesting, and I'll leave it here. I was watching a video from Vox Day, and he said that Trump, it was a huge landslide. And he said a really interesting point, which I'll just bring up to you, that maybe the United States is an illusion that it's a 50-50 country. He said maybe it's a 70-30, 60-40 country, i.e. 70-30, 60-40 in favor of the Trump side of things, the deplorable, I won't even say the Trump, the patriotic, populist, deplorable side of things. And the 50-50 thing could just be an illusion, because at the end of the day, what did Biden outperform? Four places was where the steal happened. That's it. It wasn't widespread. Absolutely. It was in 4 places.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely, quite true. And I mean, I would add, by the way, and this is perhaps a rather cruder point, but it seems that Biden allegedly won in fewer counties than any other successful president in US history. I mean, his vote is incredibly concentrated in just a few places. Well, you could leave it there.
Okay, yeah, go on.
No, I mean, let's check it out and find out whether that is really so. I mean, audit. Yeah.
Audit, yeah, forensic audit, everything audit it all. Anyway, we'll see with the Supreme Court. It's going to be a huge week. It's going to be a huge week. We're going to get the audits for the Michigan machines as well, I think, this week as well, as to how those machines were performing during the election as well. So it's going to be a big week of news.
I agree.
All right, Alexander McCurse, thank you very much, guys. Like this video, click on the subscribe, PayPal, Patreon, subscribe, star. Bitcoin, you'll find that down below. Rumble, BitChute, Odyssey, check us out there. Duran shop. Alexander has a Duran hoodie today that he is sporting with the flag of England, I believe.
With the flag of England, indeed. And you can see what a beautiful hoodie it is. Keeps me wonderfully warm and comfortable on this cold December day in London. Don't, by the way, be misled by temperatures. The temperature in London may look high, but believe me, because it's so humid and damp here, we're right on the sea, the North Sea. Remember, this London is also a port. It's absolutely freezing. So this keeps you warm and comfortable, and you also look absolutely great in it. You can see what a beautiful thing it is. You can see also that it's got the embroidered flag of the double-headed eagle of the Duran, and this one has the flag of England. But of course, we have Duran hoodies with lots of flags of many countries too, just as our Duran mugs, flags, this one with a flag of the United States, but we've also got the flags of many other countries. This is Britain, and this is also a Duran mug with the design of our great friend Dimitris Economou, exclusive for viewers of the Duran who want to buy them, all in our shop. Wonderful magic mugs.
Can you put that one closer to the camera?
There you go.
Okay.
There you go. Can you see it? Can you all see it there? It says "Made in Britain."
Yep.
With the flag, and you can see we've got wonderful magic mugs, wonderful hoodies. We got great shirts also with flags. We got hats too, with flags. You can see that one there with the flag of Great Britain. So you can come to our shop. You can support us by coming to our shop, buying the wonderful merchandise that we have, and you can support us that way. You can support us through Patreon and Subscribestar and PayPal, and you can also support us by coming and finding us on our various other platforms: Library, Odyssey, Rumble, BitChute, and of course, come to our next program. And remember to press the subscribe button for YouTube.
All right, Alexander Mercouris, thank you very much. Until next time, everybody, take care.